Recording. Okay, we've started recording, so just a quick overview of the nutrition course. So we're looking at the introduction, the history, the anatomy and physiology of the dog's digestive tract. We're looking at the nutrients and metabolism, allergies, healing damaged intestinal systems, supplementing and preparation of homemade dog food. So Dr. Malina, here we go. So an introduction to vegan dog nutrition.
Hi, Ruby. Thank you for your introduction and thank you for attending this nutritional course. I'll start with this first a photo of celery and apples. And as you said, Ruby, that's not what is vegan food for dogs. These, really healthy ingredients, they are a part of a dog diet, of the vegan dog diet. So they're really important, really good to have them. But there is one thing when we see a dog like with a carrot in the mouth, and people immediately think, oh, poor dog, it's eating only carrots and apples and peas and, all cooked like for us humans, all separated, or in some watery, soupy consistency. Then I understand some people when they're saying this is not right, So that's why we had this slide on purpose with this green juice. It's really good to detox also for dogs, but I wouldn't symbolically represent this as a vegan dog food, because there would be lots of comments from the vets, from many pet owners, because they would, they would say this is inappropriate substance, like inappropriate food ingredients as to be main ingredients for dogs. And because of this, they don't understand. They never researched any vegan plant food, like vegan food, plant-based completely. They don't know what's all inside the supplements. There are some ingredients, there's a different consistency. There are plant proteins that are in a form like a meaty, chewy form that dogs don't even notice. So I would say that we will show you later how tasty, like not how tasty, you can't, of course we can't taste, but how attractive that looks, that food that we are preparing for vegan dog food, vegan dogs. And it should be some specific consistency that dog would accept, definitely. So I would say it's very important to have a correct nutrition. So for a dog's optimal health, for a management of diseases, prevention of diseases. And as I said, like lots of people consider that that vegan food or 100% plant food is not species in appropriate food. So I'm going next, in the next slides, we are going to see, are they really right? Why is Shivega promoting feeding dogs without any animal products? Is it really species inappropriate, and who is right and who is wrong here? So I'll start with this slide that we have now, with the history of dogs dieting. And it started 20,000 years ago when dogs started to follow humans. That mainly at that time humans were hunters, so they were hunting as they went through the phases like that of fasting, starving, you know, and then they would be, you know, when they get the prey, they would be feasting, but it wouldn't lasting for long, because they, of course, they couldn't store that meat really well, like people can store now with the fridges. So at that time, what happened to hunters, that they were not surviving well, that their children were dying from malnourishment, from hunger times, you know, sometimes they wouldn't be able to eat for longer time. They were more sick, their lifespan was shorter. So, and also with the dogs, they also, their life was starvation mainly, and there were not so many in number, and also their young offsprings wouldn't survive. So what happened is people becoming more and more farmers. With hunters, we know that 70% of their food, even now when they are more modern than before, is based on using carbohydrates, eating carbohydrates. So that happened with, you know, as dogs are following people with their nutrition, they started eating more grains, more plants. They become shorter legs, bit stockier in the body. But what happened is, like with the humans, their lifespan became longer, their offspring surviving, and the number of people and dogs were, you know, larger. Population were larger. They had more food. They were using corn, wheat, rice. So in that time, dogs actually started to form enzymes that they didn't have before. So they also, the composition of intestinal bacteria changed. The enzymes like amylase starting developing. And it is when it's compared to wolves, dogs' amylase enzyme is 28 times higher than in wolves. And even the newest research proved that dogs produce amylase even in their saliva, in the mouth, as well as in the pancreas. So these are the newest researches. So the veganism and vegan dog diet is unknown to vets and vet nutritionists. Vegan dog owners are left alone to decide what is the best. They're most of the time they're doubting about the safety, appropriateness of the plant food, and they're most of the time without veterinary support, and faced with unknown area of this dog nutrition. So they're struggling, and they're still motivated. And some of the main motives is the ethical reason, climate, sustainability, like Ruby explained. You know, the ethical reasons would be like the obligation, moral obligation to not harm other beings by using other species of animals as food for their pets. Thanks to the science contribution in giving us instructions, what are the dog's requirements in nutrition, in ingredients, and also supporting us with all different source of supplements that can be added, the vegan sourced. So it can be added, and it's quite possible, it's very possible to make healthy and tasty vegan dog food. Unfortunately, like lots of, as Ruby also mentioned previously, we went to different Facebook groups. We saw all sorts of diet plans that are, you know, passing from one person to another from some unreliable sources. So that's why we're offering even for vets, veterinary nurses, to come and to learn more about diet plans for vegans and why they are acceptable and accepted by dogs. Yeah, and as I said, like even with the raw diets, with meat diets, they again, you know, there are lots of troubles, lots of things that are not right. So we have, fortunately, we have many owners interested in vegan pet food, which is really good for the whole planet, for animals. And we as professionals would like to present what really dogs need. Can they be vegan? Pinpoint the lack of nutrients in 100% plant food, negative effects on health, how to prevent that. So, and we can even, we will give a little bit about the other diets. So we'll see that any human made, any human created diet for dogs is not perfect, as you know, like some people are supporting raw diet, some are supporting commercial, but we'll see that none of them is actually balanced and complete. Sorry. Okay, so we'll also present different researches. Okay, on this slide, we can see hunters and the dogs with them. So so we can see that how they, you know, it was really, you know, life, bad life and hard life for both of them. And we know that lots of people say, oh, look, we have to go back, like this is the dog's normal life. This is what they should eat, you know, meat and everything. Lots of people have wrong ideas. The dogs at that time were eating everyday meat. So they want to copy with making different special diets. And they call it, like even some vets that are very famous and, you know, looked in, like watched on YouTube's daily, they say about species appropriate food for dogs, so mentioning meat. So meat is, when they're saying meat, they're thinking about the muscle, but in fact, in these conditions, like these people lived with dogs, they would use the whole animal and they would give dogs all undigestible for humans. So these people that are promoting raw diets, they don't know that if they really want, like if they are going into the past, then dogs ate the full animals, the brain, eyeballs, ears, and during the starvation period, so well, not humans, no dogs had anything to eat. They would just starve. They would eat whatever carbohydrates they would have. And then with the fridges invention, humans started eating more meat, more unhealthy products, and that's what happened with the dogs. So you know, dogs were mainly vegetarian all these thousands of years, where people could not, you know, store the meat, as I explained. So we can now see in the next slide, there are dogs that we have today, and people think they should be on raw fresh meat diets. And I think there's not much logic in this, because these dogs are totally dependent on humans, even with their coat, you know, that they wouldn't be able to survive without brushing, without cutting their hair, and especially we can't expect that they would be the one who need so much meat daily. And you know, like so there is a confusion amongst the people about choosing the diet, but we know that the dogs are totally dependent on us, and if we want to give them the best, then we should go follow the path of science and the professional advice, and be very careful with that, especially with the vegan plant diet, because of the possible deficiency. But research is in the newest research, they explained, they even noticed the benefits of vegan diet for different health conditions. And I'll show later, like I'll mention that. Now, another reason why dogs wouldn't be vegans, if everything is fine, science is helping us, we are following the proper diet plans that are scientifically brought to us, that we are following them. There are even like health benefits. So why some people are deciding, to go with the vegan dog diet, and some are totally against that. And I would say on the next slide, I would say there is a big reason that we support all animals, because they're emotional beings. They suffer. We can see from the face of this monkey and from the eyes how much sadness, and we can relate to it. Like if we are if we have our normal human emotions, we can relate to the pain of the animals. So there is a huge reason why we should also implement the veganism in our pets' life, for our dogs and the cats. Now, what I'm going to talk is about can dogs be vegan? And I can say during the history, as I explained, dogs by now they're adapted to digest and absorb 100% plant diet that's balanced and complete. In the research, they show that 50 to 60% vegans use a mixture of a commercially vegan dog food and homemade food. Then 30% use a commercial, which is dry and like kibble and the wet food, and the rest 10 to 20% make their own 100% homemade vegan food. The reason why people do not cook so much or prepare fresh homemade vegan diet is that a time limitation. We all know about that. They also don't have diets and recipes. So in Shevega, we really try to make vegan people life easier. And so we prepared the booklet and with diet plans and also recipes and in the next slide, I'm just going to show you the teeth of dogs. Are dogs designed to be vegans? Yes and no, because of the canines, which we don't see here, but we know how the canines look. They are the sharp teeth at the front that will rip the meat or bite. So that is a sign that they're eating animal, the prey, and but the molars, you can see those big teeth at the back. They have a flat surface like we see in the herbivores and like we have in our molars. And that shows us that they are able to chew on a plant material or grains. So it means that they are, according to the dental you know, composition, like the teeth that they have in the mouth. So this is the lower jaw, and then we can see in the upper jaw, the next slide, that so this is the upper jaw. They have those molars that they can chew, they can use for the planes. So we see based on this that dogs are omnivore. They are omnivores. Like with the cats, you have totally sharp these molars. They're not as with the dogs. So I can also the ratio between the body and intestinal length. For cats, it's 1 to 4. So they have quite short intestines comparing to rabbit, which is 1 to 10 body to intestines, and dog has 1 to 6. So they are in between the carnivores and herbivores. And they are, as I said, omnivores considered. Now, dogs have also what the adaptation on the plant material. They still, we can't feed dogs a high amount of undigestible fiber because they don't have ability to ferment that. So in the dog's diet, we do the balance between the undigested and digested fiber for the best benefit. Dogs have high flexibility in metabolic pathways, and this is due to the contact to people, eating people waste food. They became more scavengers, less hunters. They were eating more mixed diets, and that applied on to dogs' appetite, behavior, and also digestive system. There are scientists, and I have here research, like if you are interested, I can give you after. They published also that the gene for amylase, a protein that starts breakdown of starches, as I said, is quite strong in dogs, indicating that 5-fold better they are than wolves in digesting starches. So they can much better digest starch. Dogs also have hepatic glucokinase, which is enzyme activity for carbohydrates metabolism, and they are able to metabolize large amounts of simple carbohydrates. As I said before, comparing to meat-based diet, there are lots of benefits of vegan diet for dogs. For example, benefits would be the loss of bad breath that we commonly can smell with the dogs that are on meat-based diet. So then they have healthier coat because the less allergenic substances they ingest. Meat is highly allergenic. Gut health is improved. Dental health, less causes or cases of lower urinary tract infection. That's all compared to the meat-eating dogs. And then we can see about the next thing, which I can tell you what is the benefit of the plain diet. We haven't heard much about dioxin. That is a poison, environmental poison that lots of animals, especially the large animals, they store in their bodies, like cows, in milk as well, chickens, pigs, even fish. And the bigger the animal, you can see they store more in the muscle, and then people eat that, and the dioxin is really serious toxin. So when when dogs eat as well, being a relatively small animals, they can have those symptoms like liver problems, skin problems, without nobody knowing what is the reason. So I would say, for people who are feeding on raw meat based diet, at the at this time, it's not really species appropriate, especially not because it's given every day. Okay, and I could say another thing just to give you, because sometimes vegan dog owners have a bit of doubts and thinking, am I doing right, like depriving my dog from meat? That's dog's food. But meat, as we can see, like when we go through the nutritional calculation, the diets that are rich in meat, they have high phosphorus to calcium ratio. And when phosphorus is high in the blood, then parathyroid gland is activated, and the body has to pull the calcium from anywhere. So the places where animals store calcium are bones. So what's happening in that case? Calcium is pulled out from the bones to balance the phosphorus, and that is like we have dogs in a veterinary practice. We like lots of dogs with osteoarthritis, especially younger dogs with osteoarthritis. Another thing, these meaty diets, they're deficient in manganese, that are really important for tendon health. And if we have so many dogs with cruciate ligament injuries, like when they jump off the stair or off the lounge, they break or damage those ligaments, and everybody thinks, oh, it's coincidence, but it's actually a food deficiency. And it can be, and also with the molybdenum deficiency, they have lots of allergies and itchiness and lots of things to mention. So I wouldn't say that they are appropriate, they are not appropriate diets at all, no matter who is saying. Now, another thing that those raw meaty diets, in the next slide, we can see that they are actually, can you show me, sorry, about the parasites? So that would be the next, yes. So we can see here under the microscope what mainly parasites that are in meat. And if dogs are given raw meat, like all of us vets, we know there is a big chance to pass these parasites. One are roundworm, and the other ones are tapeworms. And some tapeworm is zoonotic, so it can pass and cause really bad disease to humans. So immune compromised people shouldn't be close to such dogs. Another type of food is commercial diet. So that's dry and wet food. As I said, I will compare vegan diet to the commercial diet and the raw diet. And what we have in commercial dry and wet food, we have always like subclinical doses of aflatoxin. This is in new days causing all these new diseases, the chronic diseases, and they are stored in liver. So I'll just so that's mainly aflatoxin is mainly also in meat-based diets, commercial diets, which are unfortunately recommended by vets. So yeah, so we would like also to educate owners regarding that, all different types of food as well. Now we will go to the next. Okay, so we are, we have those two very healthy vegan dogs, happy, active, motivated, because they are highly adapted on the plants. Their enzymes are developed, and as I said, they are supplemented. The food is supplemented. So yes, dogs can be healthy and happy vegans and enjoying their food, which we will present at the end tomorrow. How to make healthy and tasty and good consistency food that the dogs would just love and just want to eat. Now, so we are going to the next slide, to anatomy and physiology of dogs' digestive tract. And
Malina,
yeah.
Malina, I was just going to say, would this be, because I'm just not to exhaust you, do you think this is a good time for quick Q&A on that section?
Yes.
And then we could have a break, and then we start again. So then we start afresh with the anatomy and physiology. So shall we open up to questions? So if you want to unmute and ask Malina questions, and then we'll have those question times, and then we'll have a short break, and then we'll come back to anatomy and physiology. Lovely. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
I just wonder the ability to digest fiber between dog and human. What are exactly different?
Yes. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Dogs, as I said before, they don't have really ability to digest undigestible fibers. So that's like a cellulose and those hulls of the like grains. So we don't give dogs brown rice. We don't give a dog what else has like a full wheat grain to digest. We also, when it's high in fiber, like some nuts, we have to grind it. So yeah, there is a difference. While we can digest the fiber much better, dogs can't. So that's why we have to have the proper diet plan that is made by the professional. So we are sure the dogs won't get too much fiber. Another bad, not like wanted side effects of too much fiber would be that motions are passed more quickly, and dogs, and also dog loses vitamins and minerals. When the fiber is there, they can't even digest protein properly. So that's, yeah. And even like if food is dry, digestion of protein is decreased.
Thank you for the answer. Yeah, can I ask one more question?
No worries, yeah, please.
Yes, because I wonder, just because of my dog has he has diabetes now. So I heard that the white rice or white stuff, which has higher sugar
glycemic index, and
glucose index. So that's why they normally for human, doctor recommend not have white rice or something like that. So I used to feed whole grain or brown rice or oats to my dog who has diabetes. So I just wonder, because normally brown rice and whole grain has lots of fiber, I guess. So would it be okay, or should I change some other stuff?
So what's happening, like with the full grains, like whichever, wheat, rice, they have in those hulls, they have inflammatory chemicals called lectins, and they can cause inflammation of intestines. If intestines are inflamed, then you don't have proper absorption of the nutrients. So you don't want to cause that, but you can have some low glycemic index like barley. Barley would be recommended more like barley flakes to dogs rather than rice when it's diabetes. But you can give us smaller amounts of rice, you know, as well, white rice. So yeah, some fiber is good to be given, but in balance, not too much. Not like with humans, you know, humans can have quite a lot of fibers, but no dogs.
Then how could I well, I'm not sure how much fiber is good enough for dog. So would you recommend, how can I?
Well, you know, for diabetic dog, you really would need, like in Shevega, we are doing custom-made diets with the supplements. So if your dog has diabetes, it's really important to know how much medication he gets, what is the glucose level in blood, is it controlled, and then you know, like adjust all different you know, the ingredients inside, and including fiber as well. So it's not just one thing that you know,
I see.
correct. So yeah, it's more complex, you know, not just about the fiber.
Okay, thank you. Then I should
it's better that you get the proper diet, completely proper diet, recommendation on some vitamins and everything, you know.
Okay, thank you for the answer.
That's all right.
Thank you, Solomon. Any other questions? So if there's no questions, maybe I think if you put your videos and your microphones on mute, shall we have a 10-minute break? So it's 23 minutes past now. I'm just thinking, so in 10 minutes, shall we reconvene and we'll come back to anatomy and physiology. So we'll see you in 10 minutes. Lovely. Okay.
You should probably stop with the food, like if it's very often and your dog never had that before. And now, and I can tell you also the pH, you can check it. And if it is higher than 7, it means it's from esophagus. If it is acidic, that means it's vomited, and then stomach is, you know, like it has to be seen what's happening with the stomach. And so stomach is the next organ. You can see there, it's a like, no, just go back to that. Okay, so I would like just to show you, like on this, thanks Ruby, on the bigger photo, and then I'll go through. And then you have small intestines, large intestines, cecum, anus, and colon and anus. Also you can, because we are going to talk about pancreas, you can see here this yellow, like really soft and fragile organ is pancreas. That's connected. You see, it's sitting on stomach, and it's also near the gallbladder and liver. And liver is here as well on the right side. So what else can I see? Then in the next slide, I'll explain. So this is the stomach that's quite enlarged on an X-ray, and I will say like first the normal functions of the stomach would be mixing and grinding of the food, and it will store the food. So food is slowly passed into intestine. The stomach pH, it's really very acidic, and it helps breaking down the particles of the food. And also the enzyme that's in the stomach is proteolytic pepsin. So stomach has a pepsin that starts breaking protein. And as I said, acidity in the stomach helps with that. Now, this photo, I just chose the most common and maybe the most drastic changes, you know, what you can, like look for, like if you have any, if your dog has any problems, like with not eating, with constant vomiting, you're thinking about the stomach. And in this case, this dog, and usually the large and deep-chested dogs have a problem with stomach dilatation, which means when they eat mainly the commercial diet. So with a large dog, you don't give dry food, because what happen is, especially if they are small sizes kibbles, they soak in all fluids, water from stomach, everything, and then it's like a really easy to twist, and the gas is formed here. So you can see with this black, that is a gas, and you immediately suspect that this is twisted stomach. Another problems that stomach the dog can have with this organ is Giardia and Helicobacter infection. So if your dog goes and swim in some dirty water, or it can pass from one dog to another, and constant vomiting, then you will check those two bacteria. The small intestines is so you have two, you see in the stomach, you have two sphincters. You have cardiac sphincter, because esophagus also doesn't push all food, you know, eating, it's just going slowly, one step by other, filling the stomach. Then also emptying the stomach, you have pylorus, so that's another sphincter that is passing the food, squeezing the juicy, liquidy food broken in the stomach into the duodenum. That is the most important part of intestines. Then you have you can again see the pancreas, that's really nicely presented here. And then liver is up, so it's quite deep inside the chest with gallbladder. So these, so I'll tell you again, so this is the duodenum. The parts of the small intestine would be, as I said, duodenum, ileum, jejunum, and cecum. So this is the little, and cecum is actually connecting the small intestine with the large intestines. And then we have a colon. This bigger part is rectum, where the feces is collected and then gone out from anus. Now, what is happening in duodenum is that water is rapidly absorbed. We have there bicarbonates, bile acids there, and enzymes from the pancreas as well is squeezed out into duodenum, and also from the gallbladder. So it's a very busy part of the intestine. So in this part absorbs also calcium, iron, and peptides. So peptides are particles of the protein. We have the pancreas is extremely important organ, and the exocrine function is to of the trypsinogen. So trypsinogen is the enzymes from the pancreas that is passed, you see, through the pancreatic duct into duodenum, and it is activated in trypsin. The pH of duodenum is 8, so which means it's alkaline, and this is the best, the most optimal pH, alkaline pH, to break protein into amino acids, and then they are absorbed into blood. So proteins from duodenum are broken further into amino acids from peptides, and they are absorbed through the bloodstream, and they are passed to liver. So this upper part, liver. Liver is doing detoxification, or if any toxin is taken in. Also deamination. That's very important, deamination. Amino groups are removed from amino acids. So amino acids are the last, the final product of the protein. When they're completely broken to the smaller pieces, then we have amino acids. Those amino groups are converted to ammonia. Now, ammonia is extremely toxic substance that is produced as an end product of deamination of the protein. Ammonia is passed as a toxin. It has to be eliminated. So it is passed in liver. In liver is first converted to urea, and then it's passed to kidneys to form urine, and it's taken out of the body, urinated. Now, what's happening with the amino acids? They pass into circulation. And so in every cells in the body, where body produce their own proteins, in liver, you have the production of albumin, which is the plasma protein. But I would like to tell more about ammonia. Now in meat eating, so liver and ammonia connection. So in meat-eating animals, like dogs that have a lots of meat, what's happening with this is that ammonia, there's lots of ammonia. So liver is doing deammonization. So it's taking amino groups, forming the ammonia, and if it's a lot of the toxic ingredients, then it goes spreading everywhere. It's damaging cells in, as you can see here, in the brain, in the muscle, in the kidney, and intestines. So one of the thing I would like to tell you, like there are dogs that suffer from ulcerative colitis, but they're still fed with a meat diet, which in this case, more plant-based diet would be helpful, especially for older dogs that have problems with, aging, and also for kidneys, so they don't push too much, they don't overwork, passing the urea out in a form of urine, transforming urea into urine. Another thing is with portosystemic shunt, that is the abnormal connection between those veins, portal vein and the liver, and so the ammonia is actually bypassing and going straight into the organs. It's bypassing liver, so it can be detoxified. So in this case, ammonia is going straight into the brain, causing hepatic encephalopathy. These animals, they show signs with pressing on the wall. They, anytime when they eat animal meals with animal products, they have the pain in their heads caused by ammonia, and they show the symptoms. So in this occasion with post-systemic shunt, it would be the best to, and the only option is actually a vegan food, sorry, for dogs. So so we decrease the amounts of ammonia produced. As well in ulcerative colitis, so that's the ulceration of the colon, large intestines. Ammonia is attacking, the bacteria, the urease forming bacteria is actually producing even from the residues of extra. So if meat is ingested in a large quantity, it goes undigested into large intestines. And there it is bacteria that is producing ammonia from those residues of proteins. So yeah, so dogs with ulcerative colitis, they would be candidates for vegan food or at least vegetarian food. So once more in colon, minerals and waters are absorbed. So we can go into, did we have that large and small intestines photo? Yeah. Yeah, okay, back to that. Okay, so if dogs have a colitis or inflammation of the large intestine, then they have mucousy and watery diarrhea. And sometimes it can be just small amounts of the feces, sometimes with blood. Primary function of the large intestine is reabsorption of water. So every little bit of water is actually saved by the body because it's very important. And that is the role of the large intestine. So resorption of the body, the carbohydrates that are also not absorbed in small intestines are metabolized by bacteria in colon and change into short chain fatty acids. So in this way, it's good, to have carbohydrates because short chain fatty acids are beneficial. pH of colon is 6.5, so it's slightly acidic. Now about the fatty nutrients. So fat is also, metabolism of fat is also in small intestines, in jejunum. So the fatty nutrients, the fat is emulsified, so it is broken on smaller pieces thanks to the bile, with the help of the bile that is from the liver, and storage in gallbladder. So we have the lipase and as well enzymes from the pancreas and the intestinal. They will break triglycerides into fatty acids, and then they are absorbed, triglycerides are absorbed, fatty acids are absorbed in the small intestine and passed to the rest of the body. So the fatty acids, especially we have essential and non-essential. So essential fatty acids, or we call them omega-6, they're extremely important in forming cell membranes. they are also inflammatory, so we have to be really sure how much to give. That's also scientifically researched, and vets that are specializing in nutrition, we all know, how much to, not to over supplement with these essential fatty acids, but just try that that skin can be healthy and fur also shiny and everything okay. So the overall pH in a small intestines is 7.3, so it's alkaline. So as I said, as you can notice, majority of nutrients are digested and absorbed in small intestines. Digestive enzyme for proteins are called proteases. For carbohydrates are amylase, and lipase are for fats. And they are produced in small intestines and the pancreas. So as I said before, what's happening to the protein? They are broken to peptides, amino acids, they are aminated in the liver, absorbed in the blood, transported to tissues, to every cell of the body, and then body metabolize their own proteins. The metabolism of carbohydrates, they are broken to glucose, and glucose is distributed to cells where the energy is produced for the body by breaking the glucose molecule. So this is called glucolysis, and glucose is stored in the form of glycogen in liver. So this is like a little carbohydrate reserve that we have, like we know that plants has lots of glucose in their inside the plants, in like the potatoes or whichever else fruit, but the glucose storage is in the liver for animals. Okay, so I'll just tell about you can so that would be the next one that I am doing would be the so we skip the pancreas, so we'll go on the pancreas before the thyroid. Yeah, oh, that's the same slide. Okay, so what is the role of the pancreas? It's really important that pancreas actually produce its function is in producing insulin, like Kim, you said that for your dog, that has diabetes, so pancreas is the organ. And usually what's happening with the dogs when the things that will trigger pancreas, which is very confusing with the vets, many vets, they think that dogs should be really looked, like not to ingest too much carbohydrates. If dog's pancreas is healthy, carbohydrates wouldn't damage the pancreas. What will damage the pancreas and trigger destruction of the pancreatic cells is fat. So protein and carbohydrates, and I would say carbohydrates are the best there, but fat and protein would be two nutrients that we should be very careful to not give dogs suddenly high quantities, because they can actually, the enzymes, lipase and the proteolytic enzymes are, they are pushed, pancreas is pushed to produce them in a higher quantities, and then it can become exhausted as organ and then become necrotized. So then it would lose the ability to produce insulin as well. So we have to be very careful with the sudden giving of higher amounts of fats to dogs. You know, they can adjust by slowly increasing the fat in the diet, but not given at once, and you know, like not regularly. Pancreas have really important intrinsic factor. And that intrinsic factor plays important role in metabolism of B12 vitamin. So if pancreas is not healthy, there would be dogs that will have B12 deficiencies even if they eat meat. So we can see also that with the older dogs, the injections then of B12 will be really recommended to be given. You can check B12 in dogs through the blood tests. I think I mentioned amylase, lipase, and protease, trypsinogen produced in pancreas. Now, I would just say about the intestinal layers of the intestines. So we have mucosa, that's inner layer of the intestine. Muscular layer is in between mucosa and serosa. That's the outside layer that's facing other organs in abdominal cavity. And we'll see later on the photos how it's important that mucosal cells are closely positioned, that there is no gaps in. When we are talking about allergies, I'll show you what does it mean when allergen is passed through the in between mucosal cells and what consequences is for the whole body. For example, we have these mucosal cells separated or gaps in between in inflammatory bowel disease, or we call it leaky guts as well, where allergen can leak through, and I'll explain what is actually causing the biggest allergenic reaction in dogs. And yeah, in that case, we have protein losing enteropathies, which is not good for the entire body. Okay, now after the pancreas, we had thyroid glands. So these, before the previous organs, from the mouth to the large intestine to the anus, this will be like the proper, you know, the digestive system. But there are some with the pancreas and liver, but there are some glands in the body that's actually indirectly influencing metabolism and digestion. And one of them, the most important, it would be thyroid gland. It is presented here on the, it's from the both sides of trachea. Probably it's not seen so good. The parathyroid glands are attached there as well. And I'll explain these two glands, what is their function in metabolism. So the thyroid glands regulates the gain or loss of the body weight through the thyroxine, which is the hormone of thyroid gland. It also regulates the level of cholesterol, the moods like depression in dogs, so appetite as well. So if dogs are gaining lots of weight and it's not eating really much, we can suspect a low thyroid function, so low level of thyroxine. It's easy to diagnose. You just go and take a dog blood test, do the blood test, and you can check it. And sometimes you can even do a test for antibodies against the thyroid gland, which is caused Hashimoto disease with people. So dogs can have that as well. If usually with dogs, it's so underproduction, low production of thyroid hormone, and with cats you have overproduction. So when thyroid glands is hyperactive. but we are not going to talk about that. The dogs with the low thyroid function needs to get the thyroxine hormone that's from the chemists. You know, we can supply, you know, vets can supply these hormones, and dogs are perfectly living with that without any problems. So, and now parathyroid glands that are in quite close, like they are together with the thyroid glands, they regulate level of calcium in the blood. So as I said before, when dogs eat too much of meat, like when they eat daily meat, which is not species appropriate to eat, for dogs to eat daily meat, the parathyroid gland is activated because it regulates the calcium level. So the phosphorus is huge, high in the blood, and the calcium has to be pulled out of the bones to neutralize the acidity of the phosphorus. So that is the role of parathyroid gland. I would like to just repeat once more. So the digestive system, it starts with the mouth, teeth, important there to keep the hygiene of the teeth, prevent loss of the teeth, prevent any, you know, like abscesses that can spread bacteria into the whole other body, in the brain, in the sinuses. Salivary glands, we have to check that dogs are not salivating too much, so it might be some problems with the salivary glands. Then we have the esophagus, which is the tube from the pharynx to the stomach. I saw about the abnormality with the, you know, it can be sometimes dilated. Then we have stomach, that starting the digestion and physical, you know, like breaking down of the protein. Duodenum, that lots of absorption of many minerals, vitamins, and protein is happening there. And the large intestines that also absorb lots of minerals and water. And then a colorectum and anus. And then two glands that are really important is pancreas, that's giving pancreatic enzymes for digestion, and we have liver to provide the bile that is involved in the fat metabolism, breaking down the fat. And the liver is also a storage of different minerals like iron, copper, zinc, and storage of glycogen, that's our carbohydrate storage, and it's doing different functions. So these are all parts of the digestive. Then indirectly we had the thyroid gland and we have parathyroid gland. So I would just have these you know, organs presented. Now the common problems in with what's happening in gastrointestinal system that we see in dogs really commonly. Sorry. So that we see in the signs of diarrhea. Diarrhea can be occasional or can be like daily in the form of soft poo. What we see in some small dogs like miniature schnauzers, dachshunds, toy poodles, sometimes they're passing blood, and we call that hemorrhagic gastroenteritis. That's very common with those little breeds. So if you have little breed dogs, sometimes it's really not known the cause, why is that happening, but could be that the bacteria like Clostridium that bacteria is in the soil. That could be reason. And they are little dogs, they're more sensitive, so they can have problems. Usually intravenous antibiotics will help these dogs, and the fluids as well to make them rehydrated. With the dogs that are quite prone to allergies and sensitivities are Chinese Shar-Pei, German Shepherd, and Beagle. And they can have genetically immunoglobulin A deficiency, which means that they can't really fight the pathogens or like different like bacteria that is ingested with the food. And they can have a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which means that pathogenic bacteria, bad bacteria, is overgrown the good bacteria. There is always like balance between those two bacteria, but with these dogs, because their immunity is not properly like not balanced, it's weak immunity, and they can have, especially them, as I said before, with German Shepherds, they might develop ulcerative colitis because of the bacteria. That's actually these pathogens. They are turning undigested meat protein into the ammonia and causing even worse. So yeah, with these dogs, we don't want to really give meat because with the meat on a surface and inside, there is a big potential of introducing really pathogenic bacteria like Campylobacter. That's very common, like with ingesting raw chicken meat. So even with dogs that have occasional or acute diarrhea, like gastrointestinal problem, if they are given some nice, like a plant-based food, they will recover. If they are given meat, there is no chance, because what's happening, meat is non-allergen, and as that, it will go through the intestine and between the intestinal mucosal cells and go in circulation and affect all other organs in the body, like including skin, joints, and everything else. So consumption, yeah, I would say these dogs, some of them, they are prone, like as I said, schnauzers. I saw so many toy poodles or little mini poodles, and even the standard poodles that are quite sensitive to if owner start giving them, meaty diets, lots of meat. So we have in Ševega developed a 7 days detox program where dogs come, like with these acute gastrointestinal problems, and they are on special diets and they recover. Their mucosal cells repairs faster on our diet, and then they can continue with their food slowly, if owner wants, but they must be detoxed, also the liver as well. So okay, so we have these slides with the different samples of feces. So if, as I said, microbiome, it's very known with humans. We all talk about that. It's very popular, but and this balance in microbiome can influence all different organs, like even brain, because now the newest researches, they show that there is actually a connection and communication in between the bacteria that are in intestine and the brain. So that all affects our dogs with their moods, with their anxieties, fears. In that case, in Shavega, we thought it would be good to introduce prebiotics. So the really important part of our supplements is prebiotics, and that is compared to probiotics. So these are not bacteria, but these are the substances that feeds good bacteria, and that way good bacteria is actually winning the war over the bad bacteria that are Clostridium, Salmonella, Campylobacter, and many other bacteria. That meat, as I said, meat can be contaminated and other animal products. So prebiotics are the only way how to control these pathogenic bacteria, how to diminish them, decrease the number, and completely decrease their, effects, negative effects in the intestines. So if your dog needs to be on antibiotics, we recommend in the same time to give prebiotics. So that's different. That's a big difference from probiotics that cannot be given in the same time as antibiotics, oral antibiotics. If your dog develop disbalance in bacteria, they will show the signs of the dehydration, diarrhea, inaptitude, lethargy. And my first advice will be to do a PCR fecal test to discover, is it a bacteria that is producing toxins? And then, of course, you have to rehydrate your dog. That will put on intravenous fluids, pain relief, and intravenous antibiotics. Now, this photo is about the different, when it's good, really recommended that you check your dog's poo from time to time. And so there are different colors and different consistencies of the feces. What we want to see is more formed, the darker brown color of the faces. So that would be like a normal one. If we see green or yellow or orange with the blood streaks, the red streaks, we have to be careful because it is some bacterial infection. Yellowish feces can be sign of on more like a whitish yellowish of the not digested fats that are just passed through intestines without being absorbed in the body. So we have to visit the vet and see, and especially if it's red streaks, that means there is a bleeding. Now it depends. Sometimes can be bright red or dark red, but definitely we need attention. Now, if the poo is black and tarry, then we are suspecting bleeding, internal bleeding from the upper parts of the intestines. Sometimes can be even a microscopic bleeding that cannot be seen. So if you have occasionally black or really dark, you take the sample to your vet, and then they will check for melena, which will be the occult blood, so hidden blood inside. Now, gray and greasy, maybe some deficiency in lipase, like can be grayish or whitish, yellowish. So the deficiency in the enzymes. And what do I have here? Yeah, okay. So this is the feces with the tapeworm larvae. So if you see that, definitely all wormer has to be given. So that is approximately what I was planning to say about about anatomy and physiology of intestinal tract. If you have any questions, we might do a little break before we start about nutrients and metabolism, because that's also a big topic to do.
Yeah, thank you so much. Excellent. That's excellent, Malina. So I think you're absolutely right. Let's open up to questions and then have a break before we go to the next subject, which will be on nutrients and metabolism. So questions, please.
Thank you for the lecture. I have one question about dog poop. Since I feed homemade food to my dog, he still has orange or yellow poop every day, I think. But I thought it's good just because of I'm feeding with homemade food.
Yeah.
Like 90% of vegetable and grain and 10% of meat, dog.
So 10% of meat.
Yes. So since I feed the, sorry, I'm not good at speaking English.
Oh no, that's all right. That's
yes, but anyway, since I feed homemade food with vegetable and meat, he has orange or yellow poo. So do you think is it problem with bacteria?
Depend what is the consistency. Is the poo solid or it's like really watery, or what consistency? Can you tell me?
Little bit more soft than before. Before I used to feed kibble.
Okay.
It was more chocolate brown or something and more solid, but now it's more soft but not watery at all.
Okay. Yeah, we have, like, when we are giving vegan food or vegetarian, like it's 90%, then we can expect, like, if there is lots of fiber, depend like what do you give there. The poo can be depend also on the color of vegetables, you know, can be that yellowish color or orangey, and can be soft, but it's important that it's not runny, and there is no urge with your dog to defecate many times a day, you know, like to have to go to do you know, to do a poo. And so if that is normal and he can keep his stools, you know, so that could be expected with this diet that you are giving him. What you can do, you can buy some, possibly he might be lacking some enzyme. Is it the same dog that has diabetes?
Oh, yes, he is.
So because pancreas is organ that's producing the enzymes, lipase and amylase and other enzymes, maybe it's too much on pancreas, so the pressure. And so if you go and buy at the chemist, you can buy the human enzymes, or you can buy Prozyme online and give in the food. So when you put a pinch of that, these enzymes, you wait, and the food becomes digested, a bit digested. I think like 10-15 minutes maybe you wait, and then you give your dog to eat, and that in that time, you know, the food will be more available for digestion and for absorption, will be easier.
So you mean I could buy supplements like same one human supplement, right?
Supplement, this one is something else, but if you these are the digestive enzymes. Okay, yeah, you can buy them, but another thing what you need to do, I think, with the 90% of vegetables and 10% of meat, and you are not giving your dog any calcium source, is that right?
No, I don't, but I'm giving Activate. Do you know Activate supplement dog nutrition supplements, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about Activate, but with this type of food, you really have to have the proper vegan supplements and made by the professional. Like we have the Shvega supplements. You can go on our website and see how they look like. It has to be amino acids, minerals, vitamins. As you see, we have a prebiotics, antioxidants, and healing herbs in it. So yeah, you should really. I'm not sure about what, and I haven't seen actually Activate. What is inside? Do you know?
Is it Activate spelt AKTIVAIT? Is that Activate?
I think that's right. It's from UK, I think.
Let me, yes, I'm just trying and find the ingredients for Malina. I can just see.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so let me see if I can sort of share screen. And let's have a look at Activate. Okay.
I think AC.
Is it this one? Can you see?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
It's this one.
Yeah, it's
this one.
Yes, right.
Okay, so let's have a look, and I'll just. Oh, here we go.
And I'm giving for small breed.
Those, yeah.
Yeah, those, right.
We're just
so
trying
what
to
are
the ingredients.
The ingredients.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. That's a bit naughty. They haven't shown the ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not showing.
So Kim, have you checked what is inside, or you just how did you choose these ones?
I think that's not a good idea that I don't know much about it, but I was very I was worried about my dog's condition. So I Googled there is one community who people who have diabetes dog. So they recommend me to give that supplement.
This one, yeah. But because you have like mainly vegetables, you really need, and you don't give bone as well, you need vegan supplements.
Oh, I see.
Vegan dog supplements. So this one is most probably for meat-eating dogs, is it?
Even I'm feeding 10% of meat, still okay with the vegan supplement, you think?
Yeah, because if you have 90% of vegan of the grain and vegetables, which I'm not sure how balanced is that diet. Is that what you decided, or somebody told you, or?
Somebody just told me, but I think they are not like vet or nutritionist. So
Yeah.
I just worry if I miss some nutrition.
Oh yeah, because you definitely need some vegan dog supplements, otherwise might not be enough of some minerals and that are important.
Yeah, actually here in Korea, I'm from South Korea, but here is more rarely to find vet who support vegan diet for dogs. So I think it's very hard to find. Well, when I asked about it, most of veterinarians like staring me. Are you kidding me? Like
that is exactly the experience I had. Absolutely, exactly the same experience. Just interested, Solmin. So, where are you based? You're based in South Korea.
Yeah, I was born in South Korea in Seoul. And now lately I want to show people that makes sense. Dog can be vegan.
Wonderful.
So lately I not officially open, but I prepare to open my own business, which is vegan dog food.
Wonderful.
It's not about the keyboard or something like that. In here, homemade style dog food is very popular in Korea. So my business is actually first in Korea to feed vegan diet for dog.
Wonderful.
Bravo.
But I study more, and that's my.
That is wonderful. And Solmin, possibly after the course tomorrow, do reach out by email. So the email's info @shavega.com. Do reach out for support because obviously the expert sort of advice from Malina, but also on the legal aspects and what can be done, which is part of our mission at Shavega as well. We've brought in sort of law, policy, veterinary medicine. So really a company that's sort of interdisciplinary. So absolutely do reach out afterwards.
Thank you so much.
Be delighted.
Yeah, we will help you with the diet plan and we can.
Yeah. And so do you think this is a good time to break for, say, what do you say? Is 15-minute break good? Just because it's
15 minutes.
Yeah.
But we have from Meg.
Yes.
In a chat, we have a message that she has internet issues.
Yes. Let me just have a look.
So she has to drop out and rejoin the meeting.
Okay, no problem. I'll just say no problem.
I told her.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. No. Oh, lovely. Sorry, you did. Oh, there she is. Okay.
7:36.
Yeah.
Okay. Is she connected now?
Yes. Meg. Hi, Meg. Meg, are you there? Hi, Meg.
Hello. Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on with my internet, but
don't worry. Hopefully
that fixed it.
No problem at all. So Meg, what we were going to do was just break for 15 minutes and then come back again. And then we are going to be talking about nutrients and metabolism, unless you have a question with regards to the previous lecture that you'd like to ask Malina.
I don't have any questions that have come up yet, but I'll let you know.
Lovely. Okay, so shall we say if you just mute and keep the videos closed, and shall we say at 10 to? So literally it's 10:40 in the UK. So literally 15 minutes. So I actually 5 to. So just in 15 minutes time, we'll come back.
Yep, cool.
Lovely, lovely. Okay then, see you Meg, see you Solmin, see you and in 15 minutes.
Thanks, cool. I might actually log out and dial into the meeting
No
so that
problem.
it's not using my internet. So if
No
you could let me
problem.
back in, that would be great.
Of
Thanks.
course, that's no problem at all. No problem.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye.
The first requirement that I'm going to talk is energy. So we are talking about metabolic energy. When we are creating the diet plans, that is the first thing we have to decide how much based on the size of the dog and on of course on his health status and the date of birth or how old is dog. So we talk about metabolic energy, which is the energy that's used on metabolic processes on the body. And it is different than daily energy. That depends now on the daily activity. Like if some dogs are really active, like working dogs, that energy will be much bigger for them. It also depends on environmental temperature. Now we can talk something about fats. The next slide, more about fats. Okay, so we have the, maybe, sorry about that, yeah. Sorry, I just had a bit of cough. So we see in this diagram that so sorry, I just have a bit of
Malina, I think have a quick glass of water, because I had the same thing as well. So
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I would get some water.
I'm just going to get some water. Just 1 second.
Can everybody hear? Is this okay? I'll just check in with you guys to see that you can hear and you're seeing this clearly.
I can hear.
Okay, wonderful. And Meg?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
fantastic. Okay, great. And suggestively, what would be a good idea is just think of questions you would like to ask, so sort of jot them down. You can pop them into chat, or you can just sort of save them. And if you hear snoring in the background, that's my Springer Spaniel. He snores quite loudly, so I'll put it on mute soon as Malina arrives. Hi there, Malina. Are you feeling, is that better?
Okay, I think I'll be fine now.
Great. Okay, good.
God.
Excellent.
So okay, so we are starting with fats because they are the most concentrated source of energy. So they provide about 2.25 times more energy than protein and carbohydrates. Now when we are when we are choosing fats, we are looking for essential fatty acids, and they're called essential because we cannot make them in the body, but we have to have them provided from food, which means they have to be ingested. Essential fatty acids are omega-6, that's essential for puppies and adults, and omega-3 fatty acids are essential for puppies. Now, omega-6 fatty acids are linoleic acid that we can find in sunflower and safflower oils. Okay, so that is linoleic acid, and out of these omega-6 oils, arachidonic is also joining. So there are two of them that are essential, linoleic and arachidonic acid, that is especially essential for puppies. Now we have omega-3 fatty acids, and we have alpha-linolenic acid, which is shortly ALA, and we can find it in flax oils, and also we have EPA and DHA, which are the active form of omega-3 oils, and they are found in fish oil, krill oil, and also vegan source is marine algae. They are very essential for puppy growth and for pregnant dogs. Now, if dogs have a diet that essential fatty acids, omega-6, and for puppies also omega-3 is deficient, then the signs will be dry skin. Coat is also, and coat because the fat is involved in creating a lipid film on the skin, and it's a part of the every cell wall. And also in deficiency, we have impaired wound healing. So we have dry skin in dogs, and we can see that skin is more prone to edema, moist dermatitis that's seen in hot spots, where dogs have allergic reaction. In puppies, if both essential amino acids are low in diet, then we can see different neonatal abnormalities. So because in a vegan food, we don't have saturated fats like animal fats, we have to give unsaturated fats that requires more antioxidants. And we'll see in the next slide how those antioxidants work. So this is a example of antioxidant. Those toxic materials, you know, it's everywhere in the nutrition, in the environment, and also in nutrition. Like if we have rancid oils in a dog food, which is very common in dry kibble, for example, it's sprayed to give a taste, you know, good smell for dogs. And then we will have free radicals formation, and free radicals are cells without the damaged cells where the electron is missing. To stop formation of the free radicals that are toxic cells, the disabled cells, we are adding antioxidants, and antioxidants are giving back electrons to these cells, so preventing damaging of the cells. Now, when our dogs have problems with diarrhea, the recommended food is plant food, because meat is highly allergenic. Like most of dogs, I could say every dog is allergic to different meat protein. Okay, so in this occasion, like when dogs have diarrhea, we have to give them the plant diet. And if we give unsaturated, which are oils, that can be quite inflammatory for them in this situation when they are, you know, dogs' intestines is very sensitive. So because the omega-6 oils can cause worsening of the inflammatory bowel disease. So in that case, we give more saturated oils, which is coconut oil. So in a case of the diarrhea, we wouldn't give unsaturated, which is the like sunflower oil, but we will add coconut, that is 90% saturated oil. Then what can I say? Flax oil. Flax oil is good for reproductive animals, for puppies, but we don't need to give to adults. And then omega-3, which we have in a next slide, is source. The vegan omega-3 is sourced from the marine algae and their active form. So we want active form, which is DHA and EPA. Now on the next slide, we can see we will talk about proteins. So I said that fats are the biggest, the most concentrated source of energy. Then we have proteins, and proteins are important not just to provide us with energy, but they provide with you know, like they are in the structures of organs and tissues and hormones, enzymes, and antibodies, and they also supply energy. Protein cannot be synthesized if one or more amino acids are missing or are in lower than minimum amount. So we have to have all essential amino acids. And we know that plants are low in some essential acids like methionine and some other. So with the proteins, we are looking for the quality of the protein, so biological value. And we can see that plants protein can replace, like legumes, they are high in proteins. They have a limited methionine, but we can, in combination with the other, like oats, wheat, rice, peas, we can make combination of different plant proteins, and also have the plant protein powder. So we don't need to make the diet that is really high in fiber by using just protein powder. So we can see that also, the biological value is soy and milk, fish meat is almost same. So yeah, it's possible to use the plant protein instead of meat protein. Now the other, the next quality, the quality is digestibility. We compared here. There is a research where we know that egg has 100% digestibility, but other chicken, fish, rice. I would say here we are missing probably, rice is the, if it's white rice, it's 100% digestible. So there is no residues at all as a carbohydrate, but as a protein, it's a bit less than, but still, still above 70%, 75%, which is okay, which is good. So definitely plant proteins have lower digestibility due to the fiber content, and the whole grain is because of that it has better protein digestibility as well as digestible carbohydrates. Studies showed also that in the part of the ileus, which is the part of intestine, they measured digestibility of crude protein, and it was in fact higher for diets containing soy protein source than for food containing poultry meal. So in this case, like soy protein source was higher, more digestible than poultry meal protein. It hasn't been noticed any difference in protein digestion between the cereal-based food containing either soy meal or meat meal and bone meal. Deficiency in protein causes reduced growth, fatty liver, anemia, and poor coat, because hair is mainly built up like made out of protein. Excess of protein can be problem as well, because especially methionine, it's cancerogenic, and undigested protein is passed to large intestines, and I talked about that, where urease producing bacteria is catabolizing protein into ammonia, and it's sending to all different organs, including brain, and it's also causing ulcers in the colon, in a large intestine. And ammonia is the most potent toxin in the body. Well, amino acids that are limited in vegan dog diets, I would say it's methionine, threonine, and tryptophan mainly, and some more depend of the diet that you that you create. But for vegan dogs, I would specifically talk about taurine and carnitine. That is not it's not essential in like meat-eating dogs, because they ingest in the meat. They're from the meat diet. Now they can be made out of like taurine out of methionine and carnitine out of lysine, but still in a plant-based diet we would like to supplement that. So we can see next slide now. Okay, so I'll talk later about we'll go back to taurine and carnitine and what are the consequences of not having enough of these amino acids in the food. But now I will just finish with the carbohydrates. So this is the third source of energy, metabolic energy. One was fat, that's most concentrated, then protein, now carbohydrate. So what's happening with carbohydrate? The sources of glucose needed for energy production are simple carbohydrate and starches. Brain and red blood cells require glucose as a source of energy. In case carbohydrates are not ingested, like with some keto diets, its bodies still produce glucose using a specific amino acids that are able to produce glucose during the metabolism of these amino acids. With the, although dogs don't have requirements for glucose, the pregnant dogs have requirement. They must have at least 20% of carbohydrates in their food to be able to produce healthy puppy fetuses. When starch are sourced from corn, wheat, rice, barley, oats, and potatoes, and they are used in about 30 to 57% in diet, research showed that these starches were almost 100% digested. So this is the reason why gastrointestinal diets are mainly composed of starches, and that is also with the industries, food industry, pet food industry, that are normally using animal products. In case of gastrointestinal problem, we need really food to be completely digested, and the only 100% digested would be number one, white rice, then less maybe potatoes, pumpkin. So we are choosing those carbohydrate sources for upset gastrointestinal tract. And in research, how they check that they're almost 100% digested is by checking if starch is passed from small intestine when they have to be digested into the colon, and if they're not passed, means they are fully digested. So undigested material will irritate. Sorry about the phone. Will irritate the intestine, and if mucosal lining, if intestinal mucosa is irritated, it will be damaged. The bacterial overgrowth will cause also destruction of amylase enzymes, and then it will be really hard to have any food really 100% digested. So sometimes carbohydrates can cause diarrhea, but they are not, there is no allergy. So some people think that there is an allergy to carbohydrates, but it cannot be allergy with carbohydrates and with fats. It can be only allergy on a protein. So one problem with carbohydrates is that people are now these days, they don't like to have much carbohydrates in their own diet and also in their dog's diet. And we know that plants are high in carbohydrates. But dogs still have requirements for, you know, they don't have requirements in carbohydrates, but they have requirements in glucose, because, as I said, brain and red blood cells, they need glucose as a source of energy. Well, the content of carbohydrates in professionally formulated plant-based food for dogs does not need to be high. If you know how to formulate the proper diet, the content of carbohydrates and non-digestible fibers will be also possible to be lowered, you know, even compared to the carbohydrates in meat-based commercial food that is quite high. Digestion and absorption of carbohydrates is mainly happens in small intestines and very little in stomach. And now we'll have another slide for proteins. So on this chart, we can see different amino acids that are essential. So it means body cannot make it. And some of them are limited in the plants, but as I said before, we can use isolated protein that's completely like very similar to meat protein. So now these days with the success, like this very developed science, we can do it, and there is no excuse that dog food cannot be healthy and complete and balanced, because we can add essential amino acid. We have the protein powders, and nothing really stopping us from making the vegan food for dogs. So these essential amino acids are absorbed in small intestine lumen and are fermented by bacterial enzymes in large intestines. How well they will be absorbed depends on the quality of protein, which I spoke about, fiber, and also dry matter of the food. So if dogs are eating too much of dry food, then it could be that their protein absorption and metabolism wouldn't be, actually absorption will be lower than if they eat some wet food. And if the food is rich in fiber as well, minerals will be lost, and also protein. So once the body, once the amino acids are absorbed in small intestines, they are reassembled into new proteins by the liver and other tissues in the body. For tissue protein synthesis, enzyme synthesis, albumin, which is the blood protein, and hormones. They are also a source of energy as well. So to have a normal protein in a dog's diet, we have to actually supply all essential amino acids. So if you see on a bag, it has no matter how much protein, if there are, it can still be limited amino acids. So when we calculate the diet plan, we calculate essential amino acids. In plant diets, most of the time they have to be added to have a complete and balanced diet. With plants, the characteristic is that they are poor in acidifying amino acids, so methionine mainly, and plant protein has higher pH values, and the vegan vegetarian diets produce alkaline urine, and then On the next slide, we can see what is the risk of alkaline urine. Okay, so this, these are the urinary crystals. On the top, you have oxalates, and on the bottom, there are struvites. So struvites that are in a form of a coffin, they are produced, they're made in alkaline urine. And so dogs that are on plant-based food, they create more alkaline urine, and they can be prone to formation of these crystals. Of course, they don't need to ever develop them. Like if they drink and they urinate regularly and they don't have infection, but we don't want to get that risk. So owners of the vegan dogs will check pH of urine every few days, and then if urine is alkaline, so if it's above 7.5, then there are acidifying nutrients. So acidifying nutrients would be out of vegetables. It's asparagus, peas, oats, lentils, corn, Brussels sprouts, and yeast is most commonly added as urinary acidifier. And also, as I mentioned, methionine is normally added in the complete and balanced diet. So those dogs that are eating complete and balanced diet will have much less risk of formation of alkaline urine and struvites. Also, lower content of magnesium will prevent. Acidifying nutrients should be used with big caution, very carefully, because if that leads to metabolic acidosis, which people do sometimes, they use too much nutritional yeast or some other acidifying agents, and they got urine that's like below 6.5, so about 5 and a bit lower. And then they have they predispose dogs to have oxalates, which are up on top of struvites. Now, what is the difference between them? The oxalates, so the one that are formed in acidic urine, they're much harder to dissolve. Struvites can be dissolved, but like with some, acidifying ingredients, food, but oxalates can be dissolved. They're there, and they have to be surgically removed. That's the only way how to get rid of them. So acidic urine, acidic pH of urine causes as well that calcium is lost from the bones. So again, I'm saying meat and metabolic acidosis caused by too much, of animal proteins can also cause the loss of calcium from the bones this way. If dogs have the acidic urine, then magnesium is given as a natural inhibitor for calcium stone formations. Again, then I'm going back to taurine, because I promised we will go back to taurine. Once more to say that there is another research that it showed that plant protein sources are feasible alternatives to poultry meal protein sources. So in that case, if we are using the plant protein, we have to use, as I said, for vegan dogs, taurine is extremely important. It's a neuromodulator involved with body temperature regulation. with a normal retinal structure, so eye, and heart function. So taurine, when it's absorbed in intestine, it is conjugated to bile acids and will assist in absorption of dietary fats. Dogs can be deficient even if they are on meat-based diets. I told you when pancreas doesn't have that intrinsic factor, and also the bacteria, taurine absorption depends on bacteria. So, and also when we have the high fat diet, high fat in food, of, let's say, 24% dry matter of fat in 100% dry matter, then we have to add taurine even for meat-eating dogs. Now, it is tricky because if we have deficiency of taurine in dogs, blood can sometimes don't show the low value of taurine. And dogs can show the exact symptoms of taurine deficiency, which is weakness, cough, typical heart problems from the dilated heart, which is caused by deficiency in taurine. So in that case, biopsy of the heart muscle tissue is checked for the amount of taurine, and it is often found deficient. You know, if there is dilated cardiomyopathy. Some dogs, you know, like genetically predisposed to developing dilated cardiomyopathy from the, you know, like normally through their genes, and adding the taurine, even like as I said, for meat-eating dogs will help with that. Like for example, American Cocker Spaniels and Golden Retrievers. So also synthesis of taurine differ in different breeds. For example, on the basis of metabolic body weight and liver weight in Newfoundland dog, it's shown that they have less than half of taurine synthesis related to beagle. So Newfoundland dogs should be supplemented as well, no matter what diet they have, because the metabolism of the taurine is not normal in these dogs. And as I said before, methionine can be used to synthesize taurine, but then you need quite a lot of methionine. It's cancerogenic, so it's better to just add pure taurine. So this is about the disease, about dilated cardiomyopathy. Well, that disease you can see on the left side, it's normal heart. On the right side, you have dilated left chamber of the heart, yes. And so that dilated chamber doesn't have strength to push, to express the oxygenated blood into aorta and pass to other parts of the body. So dogs have problems with breathing, with like the body is not supported with blood, not nourished with blood and oxygen in the blood. And these dogs are weak, they cannot exercise, and they can even faint from the lack of blood and oxygen in different parts that are further from heart. So, so yeah, you see the breeds that are predisposed, like Boxer, Springer Spaniels, Dobermans, and sensitive to taurine deficiency, American Cocker Spaniel, Newfoundland, Portuguese Water Dog, and Golden Retriever. So the next thing, I think, okay, before we go to the leading brand supplements and their quantities of taurine and carnitine, we can say that carnitine is also really important for heart as well, because of transporting of nutrients that are giving energy to heart. Yeah, so here carnitine deficiency will cause dilated heart disease as well. And our Schwega supplements, we studied a lot about other supplements, and we noticed like a leading brands, like on a previous slide, they don't have exactly everything that will prevent risk of dilated heart failure. That's why we put exactly needed for heart, the amount of carnitine and the amount of taurine and other amino acids. Also, it doesn't have, usually these supplements don't have vitamins and minerals as they should have, like zinc is low with high iron, which is again suppressing zinc even more. And zinc is extremely important for immunity and healthy metabolism. And if immunity is not supported with high enough zinc, then you know, all organs are affected with that, and all different diseases can happen. Also, some supplements compared to our Schwega supplements don't have omega-3 active ingredients. They have flaxseed oil, which doesn't help really with supplying of anti-inflammatory DHA fatty acids. And it doesn't have support for gastrointestinal system. So as anti-inflammatory, you know, omega-3 oils and some healing herbs that we combined. And now I will just, we'll go to topic of vitamins and minerals. And these are all different sources of vitamins. So we have, I would start with actually with vitamin D. That is, belongs to fat soluble vitamin groups. Its role, the main role is in improving or enhancing the intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphorus, and stimulates the partition of bone calcium and increase renal reabsorption of calcium. So it has a huge role, like in different parts. So if dogs don't have healthy liver and kidneys, then their vitamin D should be checked and supplemented if it needed. The plant-based vitamin D source would be lichen and marine algae. And that is the proper D3 vitamin, which is cholecalciferol. Now we have in the plants, we have lots of plants that have D2. So we have to differentiate between D2 and D3. D2's name is called also ergocalciferol, and D3 cholecalciferol. So both of them have to be activated in liver and kidneys in its active form, which is called calcitriol. Most food contains higher level of vitamin D compared to dry commercial food. So again, dry commercial food should be checked and preferably supplemented with small amounts of these vitamins that can be deficient, especially in a dry commercial food, which we support, like even with our supplements, we support smaller, supplementing with smaller amounts. Now, deficiency signs of D vitamin, either D2 or D3, is osteoporosis, rickets, insufficient mineralization of the skeleton, and also immunity problem. Yet now I'll talk about vitamin A or retinol. In plants, it is in the form of provitamin A carotenoids. So in plants, we don't have retinol, which is vitamin A. We have the provitamin form that can be used as or transferred into vitamin A. Adult dogs can convert beta carotene or the plant vitamin A that you have in orange, like orange pumpkin, orange vegetables, carrots. But puppies need actually this vitamin A, and we can support in the synthetic form. Vitamin A is important in growth, immune function, healthy epithelialization, and it is involved in the expression and regulation of many genes. The signs of deficiency are night blindness, retinal degeneration, so the problems with eyes, dryness of the conjunctiva, susceptibility to infection, poor coat, and acne. So if you have dogs with acne, and they are common with King Charles and Cocker Spaniels, then you can add vitamin E. And it's even used in people who have, like humans who have acne. It's really good. But the problem is it can be toxic if it is in excess and can cause skeletal malformation, internal hemorrhages, and skin thickening. Now, vitamin B3, it's important. I'm just looking for the vitamins that are important in vegan food and can be deficient, is niacin or vitamin B3. It's absorbed through gastric and small intestinal mucosa. And if food is high in tryptophan, then it's good. The signs can be alleviated. And I'm going to also talk about vitamin B12 and folic acid or folates. Vitamin B12 is extremely important for humans, vegans, and for dogs. And you can see even dogs that are eating meat, they sometimes have to get injections with vitamin B12. And the older dogs that have weak intestines and immunity, they should be checked for vitamin B12. So it is synthesized from in certain microorganisms. When you ingest vitamin B12 that is stored in liver, and it's in animal products, so you don't have them in plants unless the microorganisms are there who are synthesizing that B12. So when it's ingested, it's separated from the protein in stomach. B12 binds to the intrinsic factor which is produced in pancreas. So dogs with inflamed pancreas cannot absorb B12 and must have supplements in the injection form or so if pancreas is really necrotized, then injections are recommended. B12 complex and intrinsic factor complex is absorbed in ileum, jejunum, and further transported in blood. There are some dogs like great schnauzers who has a inherited blockage of vitamin B12 absorption. So if you have great schnauzers, just check their vitamin B12, because it's really important vitamin. It has a role in functioning of many enzyme systems and have a role in biochemical processes. And of course, intestinal microflora synthesize cobalamin in the presence of cobalt and making this vitamin. Of course, it's found in animal tissues, but also is made by microbes and yeast. So we can add in the form of yeast, but because it would be like a big quantity of yeast, it's better that we also supplement with synthetic. Deficiency signs are poor growth, high dividing cells are affected first. So it's causing poor growth in younger dogs, immune deficiency, anemia, gastrointestinal signs, and inadequate dietary intake or exocrine pancreatitis, and chronic enteropathy, so inflammation of the gastrointestinal tract can affect absorption. There are also reserves in liver that can be used, but there are some dogs like Shar-Peis that have high prevalence of B12 deficiency. So we do a plasma test, and like as I said, enteropathies like gastrointestinal problems with Clostridium bacteria can cause B12 deficiency. I mentioned a Chinese Shar-Pei dog. I would recommend really or older dogs to have check their B12 and then get injection if it any problems. Now we have folic acid. Folic acid is sensitive to freezing and destroyed in commercial diet. One more reason that commercial diet should be supplemented with small amounts of nutrients. Now the folates are in green leafy vegetables, beans, lentils, legumes, but it's important. The vitamin B12 is important to absorb. So these folates, so the combination of them two is, will depend if they will be used and absorbed. Folates are abundant in plants, but if you have the commercial diet, then then you should still give a little bit of supplements there because they're extremely sensitive to heating and processing. Now we will end up with some minerals, and the most important one will be, I would say, iron and zinc. Let me see. So iron and zinc would be the one that can miss because zinc is not so abundant in the plants, but zinc you can find in those sunflower or pumpkin seeds, and some people will crush them, like just grind them really finely and use that in their dog's food. Of course, you have to watch for the amount of the fat so it doesn't go overly, over their energy requirements, so you wouldn't cause the deposition of fat in obesity. So I'm going to say something about iron. So we have why it's important, iron? It's important in forming several enzymes and other proteins, and important for other proteins that are responsible for oxygen activation. It's also important in electron transport and oxygen transport. We know all that red blood cells that are that have iron in a form of hemoglobin are transporting oxygen everywhere. And so primary role, sorry. So primary role of iron is in synthesis of hemoglobin and myoglobin. And I told that hemoglobin is red blood cells, myoglobin is in the muscles. There are two forms of iron. One is non-hem iron in plants and hem iron from animal products. Hem iron is used by the malignant cells on the numerous hem receptors. So we all heard probably about simple sugars that they're not good for because the malignant cells has also lots of receptors for glucose. So you know the glucose is avoided, but people are forgetting that these malignant cells have enormous number of hem receptors. So the receptors for hemoglobin, this is from animal products. So so the proper really neoplastic diet, so diet that's used for neoplastic diseases would be more vegetarian to vegan, due to this reason that this hem type of iron is avoided this way. Absorption of non-hem iron, so iron from the plants, is influenced by dietary factors, phytates, tannins, and excess phosphorus, manganese, zinc, copper, and ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid has a positive influence of iron absorption, while calcium would inhibit. So if you are eating, you know, if you give your dogs the source of iron, or maybe supplements, iron supplements and calcium supplements, they might be inhibiting each other. So calcium inhibiting iron absorption. Also fiber reduce absorption of iron intake. So we have to really watch about the fiber intake in our dogs. Iron is transported by plasma and it's taken up by blood marrow for bone marrow, but for hemoglobin synthesis. It is stored as ferritin and hemosiderin in the liver, bone marrow, and spleen. And deficiency signs are microcytic hypochromic anemia, which means the red blood cells are small and they don't have hemoglobin inside. So that means the iron is missing as well. The other side will be lethargy because there's not enough oxygen, and also occult blood in the feces. Excess of iron would be, the iron will be stopping or preventing absorption of some minerals like zinc and copper. So we can see the minerals also competing with each other. Dietary iron is absorbed mainly in duodenum and enters the enterocytes, or the cells of the intestine, and then it's transported in the blood plasma through the in the red blood cells. Now, supplementing for vegan dogs. So I think it's in the next slide, that one.
I think this is a good point to stop here because we've got a whole section on supplementing. Yes.
Yeah, well, in here, I would just say, I said before that high levels of fiber will reduce the absorption. That's what I already say. And yeah, I think we can finish with that, about influence of the fiber in a vegan diet, because some vegan diets can be high in fiber. So and that's probably we wouldn't go anymore, and in some other parts. Just just to say that high fiber, which is of course abundant in plants, if you don't have the properly created diet, can cause actually the increase of volume of feces and defecation frequency. For example, 3 times a day dogs can defecate, but it is actually for sometimes in diarrhea, it is beneficial that we have the dogs have the constant defecation, and I would just tell people, pet owners, not to give any medication to stop the expressing of the bowels, because the pathogenic bacteria is going as well out. Of course, they have to go to the vets and put the dogs on intravenous fluids and give some intravenous antibiotics. But yeah, just that to be about fiber. And then next time we'll go for I think about
allergies.
You got about the allergies. Yeah,
exactly.
So we are leaving allergies for tomorrow. And then, what will be else? Allergies.
And then we'll be dealing with healing damaged intestinal systems. So Malina, you'll be talking about that. And then I'll talk on supplementing and preparation of homemade vegan plant-based dog food.
Yes.
And I think, thanks so much, Malina. It's been quite a long one for you. So I'm glad you caught your breath again. It would be lovely now to get questions, because that was quite intensive. And there's always a balance between creating something which is all the science and the facts, from an expert vet nutritionist, versus something that, individuals can use and make it more sort of practical. So, Malina was very conscious about sort of balancing as much as possible, but she's very keen that to make sure that we get away from what social media keeps putting out, that it's very easy. You just use, a cup of peas, a cup of, it's not as simple as that. It's far more complex. And we've got to be very, very careful on how we do that. So questions, really open to questions. We've got loads of time because we said we finish at 12:30. So I think it's nice to just sort of open up to questions and take it from there. It'll be great. Any questions? Lovely, Solmin, go for it.
I have lots of questions because this time is important opportunity for me studying about vegan dog diet. And thank you for Malina.
That's my pleasure. I'm glad that you probably got some answers or some more insight into that topic.
Yes, it was inside to me. And what I want to ask is, well, as I told you, my dog has diabetes. So normally when I feed him, I combined lots of grain and beans, vegetable, and a little bit of meat, dog breast.
Okay.
And well, I'm curious because when I try to few times only vegan diet for him,
Yeah.
except meat. So
Mhm.
I combined oats, chickpea, and lentil, beans, and brown rice,
Mhm.
some like that.
Yeah.
But what I worry is, beans also have, like, oats, chickpea also have a lot of protein than other vegetable, but still they also have carbohydrate.
Mhm.
So I when I check his blood glucose,
Yes.
it's also high at that time.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, would you recommend if I put together lots of beans, but they still have, even they have protein, but they also have
Yeah.
carbohydrate. So
That's
carb
right. Yeah.
yeah, what I as far as I know, carbohydrate also affects diabetes, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 So could you recommend how could you
Well,
about?
he can still be on vegan diet, um, but it has to be uh, made in a way that you don't give carbohydrates, but you give more, like, okay, they need carbohydrates, because if you give insulin injection, then the insulin will transfer glucose to other parts of the body. So you can't have them going into low glucose, which can happen as well, hypoglycemia. So what you can do, like, if you are interested, we can create the proper formula for him, for specifically for diabetic dog. So you wouldn't have so much, I think it's too much of the carbohydrates that you are using, and that's why he has high glucose then, and then you have to put too much of insulin. But you can also add the plant protein as well, like if he will accept that. But as I said, it's quite complex formula for diabetic dogs. I made it before. So yeah, you have to do quite a lot of calculations with different food ingredients and everything to be perfectly balanced. So yeah, I think you're using too much of carbohydrates for him.
Okay then.
Yeah. But I mean, I cannot tell you without calculations, how much.
Okay
I
then.
have to calculate